So the Trump administration stoked a little bit of controversy earlier on in the week when they deported an individual named Mahmoud Khalil. Now, Mahmoud Khalil is a resident alien here in the United States. So he wasn't here illegally, but he wasn't a full-blown citizen. Now, the reason they deported this guy was the Trump administration said, here's going to be our policy. If you're not a citizen of this country, if you're immigration doesn't matter. If you are not a citizen of this country, whether you're here legally or not, and you actively affiliate with terrorist groups, we are going to deport you. You're not going to be in this country. So this Mahmoud Khalil had been leading a bunch of campus protests last year for the Free Palestine movement that doesn't give a shit about the Christians in Syria who are being genocided, of course. And all kinds of anti-Semitic rhetoric, death to America, pro-Hamas, you name it, just openly pro-terrorist. And Donald Trump said, you know what? The Trump administration said, you know what? You're out of here. So the Department of Homeland Security announced that Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist and Columbia University graduate student, was going to be deported. They said he led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. This association raises concerns about potential threats to national security, justifying the revocation of his green card and initiation of deportation proceedings. Now, of course, everyone on the left is going, no, you can't do this. It's a violation of free speech, blah, blah, blah. Here's the problem. If he were an American citizen, that would be the case. Now, he does have, as a as a resident alien, he does have the right to free speech. However, the courts have ruled time and time again that if you are not a United States citizen, whether you're here legally or not, doesn't matter. The key word there is citizen. There are certain First Amendment rights that do not apply to you as the country's interest of national security outweighs that. One of those things is the association with a terrorist group. Now, there are multiple legal precedents here. You have Kleindienst versus Mandel, 1972. Ernest Mandel, a Belgian Marxist scholar, was denied a visa to enter the U.S. to speak at academic conferences. They cited his past advocacy of communism as grounds for exclusion under the Immigration and Nationality Act. Supreme Court upheld the government's decision in the 70s. You also had Harrisades versus Shaughnessy, 1952. Several legal immigrants, resident aliens, were members of the Communist Party, and they were ordered deported under the Alien Registration Act, which criminalized advocating for the violent overthrow of the United States government. They argued their First Amendment rights were being violated. They lost. You had Reno versus the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. The U.S. government sought to deport members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, a designated terrorist organization. Individuals argued that they were being targeted for their political speech and activism, violating the First Amendment. Supreme Court ruled that the government has wide discretion in immigration enforcement and that non-citizens do not have a constitutional right to avoid deportation, even if it is based on their free speech. The court emphasized the First Amendment protections do not prevent the government from deporting non-citizens involved with groups that pose national security threats. So we have got all kinds of precedent and case law that back this up. You may not agree with it. You may find it to be a slippery slope. Now, had he been an actual American citizen and not just a resident alien, had he been an actual citizen, that would have been a different story. You can't deport a citizen for having stupid opinions. You can't arrest a citizen for having stupid opinions. But that was not the case here. The courts and the national security agencies have found time and time again that individuals who are not citizens that directly align themselves with designated terrorist groups are a threat to national security, and the interest of protecting the United States outweighs the interest of the freedom of speech of non-citizens. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. This is a guy who's called for a total eradication of Western civilization. His words, not mine. He's passed out flyers saying death to America, burn it to the ground. He wants to install an Islamic state in the United States, just like you're seeing over in Europe. Remember what we talked about, the soft crusade? This is another example of that. There is a soft crusade, and when it's done in Europe and Canada, it will expand into the United States. I have no problem with the Trump administration taking preemptive measures to prevent us from being like Europe, and keeping extremist whack jobs out of this country is the best way to do it. I'm dead serious. If you're not a citizen of this country, specifically if you're posting Islamic extremism, but any type of political extremism, get that. We should ship you the hell out. I don't care. I don't care how famous you are, what you've done. If you are preaching Islamic extremism and you are not a citizen of this country, we should send you back to wherever the hell you came from. That's all there is to it. Literally, that's all there is to it. We simply cannot afford to take the risk after what we've seen happen over in Europe and what we've seen happen to the north of us to a lesser degree in Canada. We just can't gamble on it. Because that is what that leads to. It leads to rape gangs going around like you see in the UK. And it's despicable, and you get arrested if you report these people. So while this may be controversial, and I've defended the rights of American citizens to say some pretty stupid shit, this guy does not qualify, because the interests in national security far outweigh, specifically when we're talking about something like this, a guy who's just openly saying he wants to kill us all. It's not, I mean, let's throw the resident alien thing versus citizen thing aside. Let's just use common sense. You've got a guy who was not born here. He is not a citizen of this country. He's not from here. He lives in this country. He went to school in this country. He enjoys all of the benefits and treasures that this country has to offer. And while he's here, he's simultaneously saying that he wants to destroy this country. Wouldn't it make sense to kick him out? Wouldn't it make sense to get that guy out of here? If you took a friend into your house who was down on his luck and he crashes on your couch for a couple of weeks, gets a job, starting to get back up on his feet and everything, right? Clean shaven and all that, gets some new clothes, whatnot, buys a car, not a nice one, but a little Dave Ramsey junker car, right? And then all of a sudden that guy starts going, I hate you. I'm going to kill you and your family. I'm going to burn your house to the ground. Would you let that guy stay on your couch? Mia, would you let that guy continue to stay on our couch?
No.
Or would you tell him, it's probably time for you to go?
I would make you tell him.
Yeah. It's probably time for you, You have overstayed your welcome. You have not been grateful for my hospitality in any way, shape, or form. And not only that, you're actively seeking to destroy me, per your own admission. So it would be stupid for me to keep somebody in my house that was actively trying to destroy me that was not a member of my immediate nuclear family. Therefore, it would be stupid for the United States to keep somebody in the country that was not a citizen of the country and was not born in the country that actively wants to destroy this country. That's all there is to it. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.